Going digital has been a part of banks' business transformation for years. Banks have built their defenses against security threats, but they face the challenge of staying ahead of criminals.
What the recent incidents are showing is that even though there is significant protection inbuilt into most of the digital channels, most banks do it and take a lot of good care in building these out. There is always the incident of scamming. The challenge I think banks face is that as the world becomes more increasingly digital, the incidents are only expected to increase.
That data in transit will always be an opportunity for someone to look at it, see if there is a vulnerability, hack in, and then 1 in 70, maybe 1 in 100, maybe 1 in 10,000, they will hit a jackpot and take our money.
But staying ahead of the scammers is not just a question of putting the right technology in place. Experts say that banks also have to take into account their corporate culture.
It is not easy, right? It is not easy to change how, 40, 50,000 people, most of the banks are large institutions, right? Not easy to change so many mindsets so quickly. The culture is a significant barrier in many cases. And the culture comes into play in many different ways, not just from the security angle, but from an innovation angle. This culture is a very important aspect that has to be explicitly solved for, right? Because in digital transformation, people naturally go towards technology, building new apps and new digital platforms. But actually the success of all of that depends on how well you change your underlying culture as well. Otherwise, you will not get the full benefit.
The banks aside, other parties, like the telcos and the customers, also have a part to play in fighting scams and cyber threats.
It's a three-way street. The vendors, service providers, they play a very important role. The bank or financial institution that accepts and creates these normal procedures, and up to us too as consumers.
As banks provide more services and convenience to customers on their digital platform, the security risks are only going to increase. Market observers see one such potential vulnerability in the platform ecosystems that banks are building around their customers' lifestyles. These platforms connect the banks with other partners in the ecosystem to provide a one-stop shop for a specific customer need. Banks can build ecosystems or marketplaces around any customer need.
The next generation model, the banking services are embedded into the e-commerce platform. So what it means is that the banking platform and the e-commerce platforms have now merged and become a one big platform which has both the e-commerce and the banking services. Banking partner is now providing the banking as a platform service to the e-commerce player, right? So a travel site, e-commerce site, grocery site, retail grocery site, they can all embed banking into their platform now in the new world, right?
The 3 Singapore banks have ventured into these marketplaces for property, utilities, cars, and travel. They present a security threat because banks are utilizing and analyzing vast amounts of data to build the ecosystems.
For the first time in banking history, I have understood patterns, who you are, what you like, what you do. What do you always use your card for? What do you not use it for? Are you a traveler? Are you an eater? Are you a gambler? Are you a shopper? That personifies you, and the banks are aligning themselves so that they can understand you better, so that you will spend more or save more or whatever the bank wants you to do. That is data-driven.
There are safeguards in place to prevent unintended parties from accessing the data.
How can you partner or integrate with a third-party organization, but also ensure that there is that level of security, right? So concepts like open invite-only API, where you can actually build that collaboration, but you're also securing the data. It's not like you expose that data to the external world, and it's not like anybody and everybody can go and integrate with that. Only the ones which the bank chooses to integrate with can actually come in.
Ultimately, there will never be a 100% foolproof defense strategy. Layers and layers of security will make transactions more secure, But it will also make it more inconvenient for consumers to transact online.
You want to be able to browse. You want to be able to click. You want to be able to buy a phone or a headset or a glasses or a pair of apparel on the spot there. You don't want to be verified, re-verified. So we ourselves as consumers want that ease, want that very seamless transaction, but we also want it secure. So it's a bit of an oxymoron.